Well, here we go again. Last spring, for the fourth year in a row, I put out my 5 pitchers I like, 5 hitters I like, and 5 players I dislike season predictions on this very channel. And for the fourth year in a row, I got every single one correct! They're all right, 100% accurate, guaranteed! As per usual, we'll be grading these picks with my extremely complicated 2 thumbs up, 1 thumbs up, neutral, 1 thumb down, 2 thumbs down system. We'll start with the 5 pitchers I liked for 2024. I try to pick at least one player who hadn't yet played in MLB, and this year it was Shota Imanaga, who signed a 4-year, $53 million deal with the Cubs last offseason. It may have been just 1/6 of the record breaker set by fellow countryman Yoshinobu Yamamoto of the Dodgers, but Big Mike Imanaga had the better rookie year. He had a sub-3 ERA across 173 innings. He was an all-star, he started a no-hitter, and he led the National League in strikeout-to-walk ratio. This is a win for pitch data and pitch grading, which showed me that Imanaga had an outlier fastball with regards to the release point and induced vertical break. He pounded the zone with it all year, and he ended up with the 5th best ERA among qualified pitchers. I crushed this pick, and because I crushed this pick, I don't just award myself 1 thumbs up, I award myself 2 thumbs up. Way to go, Shota Imanaga. I'm not into sports betting culture, I avoid doing gambling ads for a reason, but man, I could have made you all rich with a preseason Chris Sale Cy Young wager. He was a long shot as a talented but seemingly injury-prone 35-year-old who had tossed 151 innings in the last 4 years, but stayed healthy enough to toss 177 and win the NL Triple Crown in the process. In some ways, it was risky to gamble on someone with his history. In others, it wasn't a gamble at all. Injuries aren't as predictable as the average fan thinks, and Sale was still striking out 30% of the batters he faced with Boston last year. Now with the Cy Young season under his belt in Atlanta, he is back in Hall of Fame discussions. And knowing that I made this pick in the preseason, but not having bragged about it until now, has done wonders for my self-esteem. They called me a madman, but it's 2 thumbs up. Is this the best pick I've ever made? Ooh, yeah, there's the splash of cold water. Overall, my pitcher picks were incredible, but this one was a major whiff. Coming off a year with a FIP and ERA over 5 as a starter, I still liked Louis Varland for Minnesota in 2024. He came into spring training showing improved velocity and managed to grab a back-of-the-rotation spot, but it didn't last long, and he bounced back and forth between the bullpen and rotation, as well as AAA in the majors, for most of the year. The end result? An ERA over 7. He was plagued by the long ball once again, allowing 12 in 49 innings. Just a disastrous season and a disastrous pick. If I could blame one thing on this, it might be the elimination of his slider. Hitters performed well against it in 2023, but it had plus movement and velo and probably shouldn't have been abandoned. This is an easy 2 thumbs down. My apologies for the Louis Varland pick. Let's get back on track here with Bryan Woo, who had a really good and really weird year. Weird in the sense that it seemed like he was constantly injured, opening the year on the injured list, leaving games early, having MRIs, but he still managed to make 22 starts and toss 121 innings, and they were 121 really good innings, culminating in a 2.89 ERA, a major improvement over his 4.21 from his rookie year. This was actually the best ERA of any Seattle starter, no small feat considering how excellent their rotation was. In 2023, lefties OPS'd over 900 against Bryan Woo. In 2024, his OPS versus lefties was around 600. That was the key that led to his breakout. These grades are relative to expectation, and Bryan Woo definitely far exceeded those expectations. If Chris Sale had had this year, it would have been 1 thumbs up. But because it was Bryan Woo, I'm gonna give it 2. His ERA was more than a run below the projections, and I think there was just enough volume here to justify it. For most of 2024's first half, I actually regretted making Ryan Walker my reliever breakout pick. Sure, he was dominating, but he was dominating as a middle reliever, and with Camilo Doval at closer, it seemed like he wouldn't be able to insert himself into that high leverage conversation. But Doval struggled and ultimately lost his closing job to a committee headed by Walker, who picked up 10 saves to complement his sub-2 ERA in 80 innings. That ERA was powered by a 32% strikeout rate, 6% walk rate, and 47% ground ball rate. Walker was already pretty good in his rookie year of 2023, but took a major step forward while also pitching more important innings. In 2023, his WPA, win probability added, was plus 0.4. This year, plus 3.7. Another 2 thumbs up, this time for Ryan Walker. I promise these grades are going to get more nuanced, it's just that these were all pretty clear cut. Overall, it was an incredible showing in the 5 pitchers I like category. Maybe the best I've done in any video, only tainted by the Louis Varland pick. Unfortunately, it's all downhill from here. Quick sponsor shoutouts, real quick, I promise. SeatGeek code FOOLISH gets you $20 off your first order. We're here looking at the NLDS between the Dodgers and the Padres. Hot ticket item. This isn't bad for 141. Nice little view there if you sort by the deal score. Also, you can use it for football, basketball, live music, what have you. Code FOOLISH, $20 off. And then Stathead as well, code FOOLISH20 for 20% off your annual subscription. I was just looking at all the Hall of Famers with fewer career playoff homers than Kyle Higashioka. Next up, 5 hitters I liked for 2024. Let's start with the good news. Maikel Garcia was an everyday player, led off often for a postseason-bound Royals team, and he stole 37 bases to only 2 caught stealing. Sounds like this was a great pick, right? Wrong. He had a .231 average, .281 on base, and .332 slug for a 72 OPS plus, well below league average, and well below even his 2023 rookie year. When he hit 3 home runs in the first week of the season, I was already patting myself on the back for a job well done, but he only hit 4 more the rest of the way. Ultimately, the exit velo and launch angle potential he exhibited didn't lead to the power breakout I was expecting. I still like Maikel Garcia as a player. His base running and defense give him a really nice floor, but this exercise is called 5 hitters I like, and he simply didn't hit. 2 thumbs down. This one hurts. We know this was a good pick, but is it 1 thumbs up or 2? Tyler O'Neill hit 31 home runs after only combining for 23 the previous 2 seasons. His 132 OPS plus was excellent after being a slightly below average hitter in 2022 and 2023. And although he didn't quite reach the heights of his 2021 breakout year, he got pretty close. The Cardinals shipped him away for seemingly very little last offseason, but this year's performance is going to make O'Neill an attractive free agent, whether he signs back with Boston or seeks employment elsewhere. So, 1 thumbs up or 2? This is brutal, but I'm gonna go with just the 1 thumb. Injuries were still an issue for him as he fell 30 plate appearances short of qualifying for the batting title, and he finished the year on a 4 for 46 skid, which dropped his season OPS by about 50 points. If either of those things don't happen, it's probably 2 thumbs up, but I'm trying to grade critically, so it's just the 1 for me. Thankfully, I won't struggle to come up with a grade for Nolan Gorman. After a 805 OPS in 2023, he fell to a 671 in 2024. Strikeouts were a major issue, as he jumped up from an already poor 32% to an unplayable 38%. The barrel rates and power potential that led me to Gorman weren't enough to act as a counterbalance. 19 homers in 107 games isn't terrible, but if that's all you do with the bat, it's just not enough. Gorman actually finished the year with AAA Memphis due to his struggles, and his long-term role with the club is now in question. He's not great defensively at second base, so he'll need to really hit to be an everyday player again. Unfortunately, this is an open and shut case. 2 thumbs down, a real bummer of a season for Nolan Gorman. While Nolan Gorman had high expectations for this year, Brendan Rodgers didn't. He missed most of 2023 after suffering a shoulder injury in spring training, and when he played, he didn't hit well, putting up a 82 OPS plus in 46 games. OPS plus will be the key stat here, as it's park adjusted for the high offensive environment of Coors Field. So, how did Rodgers do in 2024? Fine, normal, 267 average, 314 on base, 407 slug, 94 OPS plus. A bounce back from last year for sure, but still mostly in line with his overall career norms. He played enough to qualify for the batting title and didn't lose his starting job, but didn't quite manage to be an above average hitter. Had he done that, I would have given him a thumbs up, but I'm not gonna give him a thumbs down either. This is a neutral grade. Noticeably better than last year, so no punishment, but still not good enough to be rewarded. I'm saved here by the low expectations. Well, it wasn't pretty, but Shea Langoliers did it. A 224 average and 288 on base aren't great, but he mashed 29 homers in 137 games en route to slugging 450, and most importantly, a 111 OPS plus in the A's final year in the pitcher-friendly Coliseum. That 111 OPS plus is the key here. He was firmly an above-average hitter, and there aren't that many everyday catchers who can say that in any given year. This was also a stellar improvement upon his first 2 seasons in the big leagues, where he put up a sub-700 OPS and a 91 OPS plus in 175 games. His defense still isn't great, but he was one of the better offensive catchers in baseball this year, and that's what matters here. I thought about giving this 2 thumbs up, but I'll stick with just the 1. It was a good pick, just not an awesome pick. That's an aggregate of -2 for the 5 hitters I like category, not my finest showing. So we're done with my breakout picks, but how about my breakdown picks? Here are the 5 players I disliked coming into 2024. I tried something here. Nick Castellanos was a hitter I liked back in 2021, and it worked out. So was I able to successfully fade him in 2024? At first it seemed like I nailed the pick, as he OPS'd about 600 through the first couple months of the season, but then he got hot and stayed hot, OPSing over 800 the rest of the way to finish with a 106 OPS plus. A bit worse than 2023, but still above average as a hitter. I didn't think he'd do that. I didn't think he'd be an above average hitter. I thought the strikeout and whiff rates were climbing too high, and the aging curve would not be kind to him. Instead, he dropped his strikeout rate from 28% to 21%, while still managing to hit 23 home runs. This is a thumbs down, but only the 1. It'd be a 2 thumbs down if he somehow performed better than he did in 2023, but that didn't quite happen. In many ways, my pick of Nolan Schanuel mirrors the pick of Castellanos, about a 600 OPS through the first couple months of the season, but then he turned it on the rest of the way to be an average to above average hitter. With 13 home runs on the year, he generated just enough power to keep pitchers honest, which I didn't think would happen. It wasn't an incredible season by any means. League average-ish bats who don't contribute much defensively aren't inherently all that valuable, but it was a respectable rookie season, even if it was well below some of the more optimistic projection systems. So not amazing, but he hit better than I thought, and it's that performance versus expectations that ultimately matters. 1 thumbs down. -1. Tough one to grade here. Eduardo Rodriguez spent most of the season injured, which is something I hadn't accounted for when making this pick. I guess the question is, did he give us a large enough sample when he did pitch? He had an ERA just over 5 in 10 starts for Arizona, well above the 3.3 he had with Detroit last year, as well as his career mark of about 4, so that would point to a negative result for Erod, and thus a positive result for me. The pick was logically sound and well-reasoned, but I'd be lying if I said you can always draw meaningful conclusions from a 50-inning sample. He missed 4 months and made his Diamondbacks debut without a rehab assignment after all. It's a debate between 1 thumbs up or neutral. I'm gonna go with the 1 thumbs up. I punished myself for Tyler O'Neill's injuries. I'll be nice to myself here. When I made the Dylan Cease pick, he was still with the White Sox. I think escaping that situation before opening day and joining a fun Padres team was a real difference maker. After a back-and-forth 2022 and 2023, his peripheral numbers, like his always excellent strikeout rates, fell in line with his ERA, which had been all over the place. A 3.47 ERA in 189 innings was the result, which makes this a pretty obvious grade. My attempt to undercut those who are maybe a little too reliant on simple peripheral metrics didn't really work. The strikeouts were up, the walks were down, Dylan Cease took advantage of the new situation and did good Dylan Cease things. A great season for Cease is a bad result for me. 2 thumbs down. Can I salvage this with my last pick? I'm sorry, David Bednar. I'm sorry it had to be you. After having a sub-3 ERA each of the past 3 seasons and leading the National League in saves in 2023, it all fell apart in 2024. The strikeout rate plummeted, the walk rate went up, and the unsustainably low home run rate inflated as well. He struggled with oblique injuries throughout the year, so that may be a partial culprit, but this was a dreadful season. His ERA was close to 6, he blew 7 saves, and he ended up losing the 9th inning job by the end of the season. Relievers are finicky, but this was a sharp turn for a 29-year-old who had been one of the top closers in the league. It's a simple and obvious conclusion. 2 thumbs up for my pick. Obviously, I had an inkling he might stumble, but I didn't think it would be nearly this bad. That gives me a -1 on aggregate for the players I disliked. I did really well in this category the past couple years, but wasn't productive as a hater in 2024. So with the +6 from the pitchers I liked, -2 from the hitters I liked, and -1 from the players I disliked, we end with a total score of +3. Better than last year's +1 for the sake of comparison, and I also graded myself a little more critically. Not a bad year for me. I thought I made some interesting picks, and even if they didn't all work out, I kept myself honest. The highlight was clearly the 5 pitchers I liked. I don't think I've had a performance quite that good in all my years of doing this. That's all for now. Stay tuned for my reaction to the 2024 Foolish 50, coming soon.